What happened this past Saturday has not only taken America by storm, but it's taken the world by storm. I'm not sure where you were at Saturday evening, but I was right here in my home. I was watching the rally as it was happening and taking place. And then this individual, and Reed, there are so many questions that I have about this shooting that took place, this assassination attempt. And that's exactly what it was. It was an assassination attempt. It was an attempt from this guy to take out President Donald Trump. I mean, the left has been after Donald Trump. They have done everything that they possibly could to destroy this man, his character, his family, everything. They have done everything they can to destroy his business, his political career. They have come after him like I've never seen anyone go after anyone before ever in my lifetime. And now you have this guy crawling up on a roof, I've read 132 yards, I've read 150 yards, but right there, 150 yards on top of a roof with a straight shot to President Donald Trump. I don't know how that happens here in America. I don't know how a guy can crawl up on a roof with an AR-15, 150 yards or less away from President Donald Trump. For any president, for that matters. For any president, Donald Trump, Joe Biden, Bush, Clinton, Obama, any of them. I don't see how that happens here in America. Like, somebody dropped the ball. Somebody either dropped the ball, made a serious mistake, or they did it on purpose. They allowed this guy, to get within 150 yards with an AR-15 because this doesn't happen. This is unbelievable that this even took place. And so, Reed, I want to spend, and we could take this whole entire 1 hour of God and Country today and just focus on and talk about what took place this past Saturday and what we think is going to be happening and taking place over the next 4 months. And I just want to say that I'm so thankful, Reed, that Donald Trump is okay. Have you seen some of the footage from Saturday?
Dan, I've seen everything there is to see about this so far. These are dark and somber days for the Republic, but I don't see how anyone looks at what happened this weekend and says there is no God, or says the God's hand of protection was not over Donald Trump. I believe that's what happened. I'm thankful that Donald Trump is alive. That said, I'm so sad that one of us, a Trump supporter, Cory Comparatore, I hope I'm pronouncing his name correctly, a father, a husband, he was murdered here. One of those bullets shot him in the head. From what I hear, it killed him on the spot. And there was another spectator, an attendee, a lady, who was shot either in the arm or the hand. I'm hearing conflicting reports about that. Once again, that underscores just how dark this is. We're at a point in our history where it is not safe to be a Trump supporter. It is no longer a threat to just your livelihood or your job. It is now a threat to your very life altogether. We have Black Lives Matter activists and Antifa thugs sacking our nation's capital, burning churches, shattering store windows. But if you're a Trump supporter wanting to exercise your God-given First Amendment right to attend a rally for your candidate of choice, you might just pay for it with your life. This is awful. And something that disgusted me that is not getting enough attention is that there was this influencer, YouTuber named Destiny. Maybe you've heard of him. If you haven't, I would almost say you're lucky. At once it came out, the identity of the person who was killed, Destiny went on Twitter, X, and called him a retard. That's just what he called him. Called him a retard and laughed at him. And I just want to say, Destiny, you inept, blue-headed monster. That was unacceptable. That is despicable. Mocking a father and a husband for exercising his God-given First Amendment right to attend a political rally for his candidate of choice. I don't know how or why you have stumbled into the moral and ideological hell that you're in, but I pray not only for your mind, I pray for your soul. And I pray that one day you will be able to use the audience that you have gotten over the last several years to do some degree of good in this world.
You know, Reed, I've been, and I'm so glad that you mentioned Corey. You know, Corey is a former fire chief, you know, for Buffalo Township. And he was there with his wife and daughter. And, you know, the stories that I've read about him, he was a good man. And he's a hero. I mean, this guy, the bullets start flying. He doesn't run. He jumps on his family to protect them. That is a man's man. I mean, in the face of, you have bullets flying. You don't know what's happening. You don't know what's going on. But he jumps on his family to protect them.
Against an enemy that mocks the father's role in the household, that mocks toxic masculinity. Why should we be surprised that they're mocking this man after he's been killed for doing what a father and a husband ought to be doing?
For doing what a man should do. That's what a man's supposed to do. You know, protect his family. And that's what Corey did. And he gave his life for his family. I mean, there is no greater way. There is no greater way than for a man to lay down his life for his friends. There's no greater way for a man to go out. And you have Corey lay down his life. No hesitation. No hesitation. No second thought. Just boom. Instinct. Instinct.
That cannot be taught. That is innate.
Absolutely. Bullets start. He jumps on his family. And Reed, I want to point something else out that people are talking about. Whenever Donald Trump was speaking, if you watch the video, he was speaking like this. And then Donald Trump turns and he's speaking over this way. All of a sudden, you see Donald Trump grab his ear. He looks and then he goes down. The bullets start flying. There's so many different videos. There was a sniper that was on the rooftop right close to where Trump was at, who was actually, if you watch the video, he had his gun, he had his sights on the shooter. The moment that the shooter shot, he got 2 shots off, I believe. And within 3 seconds, the sniper shot and killed, you know, the person that was there to assassinate, you know, President Trump. Whenever Trump went down and the Secret Service, I mean, from that, whenever he goes down, the Secret Service gets there quick. I mean, they did get there very fast, and they jump on top of Trump, and they're about to leave. They're trying to get Trump out. Donald Trump, this picture will be, it will be hanging on my wall before too long.
That was an astonishing moment, not just in American history, but in all of history.
Absolutely. Donald Trump stops the Secret Service as they're trying to get him off the stage. He pumps his fist. Fight! 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 The crowd starts chanting USA. 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 The crowd did not flee. The crowd, I mean, there was some people hollering and screaming. I mean, you could hear them. But the majority of the crowd, there was no stampede. There was no stampede. If that would have been anywhere else, there would have been a massive stampede, and a lot of people would have gotten killed. But there was none of that. People started chanting USA as Donald Trump is escorted off the stage. Reed, let me ask you a question. How many cities were burned Saturday night?
0. Then that's something very interesting to point out, is that there was every Trump supporter and conservatives of all stripes were infuriated.
Oh, we're pissed.
This had happened, but
absolutely
right. But how many cities were burned? How many? Certainly no churches were burned.
How many police cars were destroyed?
0.
How many other people? How many Trump supporters went out Saturday night and was trying to take the life of other people? None of us, because that's not how we are. That's not how we're going to operate.
Yet the narrative is that Trump-supporting white men are the most dangerous demographic in America. That's what CNN has been saying for all of these years, but the history doesn't show that. I mean, when we look at some of the other attempts on Republican statesmen's lives, so it wasn't that long ago that someone tried to kill Brett Kavanaugh, right? This was 2 years ago. Some lunatic tried to kill who was Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh. A couple of years before that, someone shot Rand Paul. And I think it was after that, someone shot Scott Scalise.
That's right.
So this has been an escalation. It started with members of the House of Representatives and the U.S. Senate, and it escalated all the way to the front runner for the Republican Party for president of the United States.
And let's not forget, he just isn't the front runner for the Republicans. He's also that former president,
right,
who should have had. And I can't speak to this matter because I don't know, but I don't know how many Secret Service is on his detail. But obviously, whatever it is, it's not enough. But if the white male was the true enemy in this country, you all would know. You all would know. America would know. But we are not the true enemy. We love America. We love the United States of America. We want to see this country flourish. We want to see this country grow. We just want to raise families. We want to have a good marriage, and we want to raise our children and make a good living and support our children, help them go to college and pay our fair share of taxes. I mean, that is what every American, not just the white male, but that's for every black male, that's for every white woman, black woman, that's for everyone. That's what most 95% of us, that's all we want to do, is we want to live a good life. We want to take care of our families. We want to attend our churches. We want to go to watch our kids play sports, go watch them do gymnastics. We just want to be involved in their life. But if you look at some of this left-wing woke agenda, they want to destroy the very fabrics from which this nation was built. They want to destroy the very foundation. They want to destroy that family unit. That's what they want to do. They want to destroy it. They want to take over. They want to control you. They want to brainwash you. That's what people like Kamala Harris want. Don't make no mistake. She's not on your side. She wants to control you. Make no mistake. Joe Biden doesn't even know where he's at most of the time. But those people that are controlling him, they want to control you. They want to brainwash your children. They want to destroy the family unit here in America. And so whenever you look at what they say, and I've got several statements here, talking about, from the left, Kamala Harris, back in 2020, talking about these protests. And she was basically saying, we're not going to stop. They're not going to stop. They're just going to continue on. She wasn't up there calling, for the people to stop burning cities and quit destroying businesses and to quit throwing rocks through windows. I don't see Kamala Harris, maybe after some pressure got applied, maybe she made a few statements to that nature. But the fact of the matter is, these people are constantly pushing, for people to try to take action. The most disgusting that I saw, as far as this, was Maxine Waters. Maxine Waters was encouraging supporters to harass Trump officials. Go to their house. Why would anyone...
Let them know they're not welcome here. And that was what she said.
Yeah, why would anyone... Listen, I have disagreed with many of elected officials, but it has never one time occurred to me. Never one time to go to their house. Never.
I don't even want to say the shooter's name, but the shooter is ultimately responsible for his actions. However, the entire Democratic Party and the entire mainstream media also holds some degree of responsibility. For the last 8 years, we've been told that Donald Trump is Hitler. That's what the mainstream media has said. Trump is Hitler. Trump is a dictator. If Trump gets reelected, he's going to be a threat to our democracy, freedom and democracy, whatever the left means by those terms that I think we both understand. That's what we've been told. When you say that for so many years over and over and over again, you cannot be surprised when some lunatic takes you seriously.
That's right. And back to Maxine Waters, and she's like, meet him at the restaurants. It has never occurred to me one time, Reed, to go to a restaurant and to confront an elected official. Look, there are elected officials, I'll admit, there are elected officials in Mississippi that I don't get along with very well. I mean, we don't see eye to eye on too many issues at all. We don't get along very well. But if I see them in public, if I see them at a restaurant, I'm going to be cordial to them.
Or leave them alone altogether.
Absolutely. Well, most of the time, they will come up or I'll come up and we'll speak, but we'll be cordial. Most of the time, if I can, I'm going to buy their lunch or their meal because I understand that even though we might disagree on some issues, they are still making a major sacrifice for this state. I mean, the amount of time that they spend away from their family, up in Jackson, And the amount of time that they spend out campaigning. I mean, they are out working and they are out doing the things that they need to do in order to get elected. And they are making a sacrifice, they're from their wife, from their children. And so I get that. And I appreciate that. I do appreciate that. But it has never occurred to me to go and stand in their face and holler and scream at them. It has never occurred to me to go to their house, and to scream and holler. It has never occurred to me to go to the Capitol and to form a riot and to scream and holler at these people. Never. But this is what Maxine Waters, one of the leaders of the Democrat Party, is encouraging people to do. That's what people like Nancy Pelosi is encouraging people, to do. That's what they are encouraging these people. And you're right. Whenever you're spending the last 8 years calling a man Hitler, which we know that he's not Hitler, not even close. I mean, there's not even a comparison, to Hitler. All we do is we state facts about Joe Biden. I mean, we just state clear facts.
Or you could just point.
Yeah.
You say nothing, just let him embarrass himself.
That's right. I'm not going to say Joe Biden is like Hitler. Joe Biden is not Adolf Hitler. Joe Biden is not him. I'm not going to try to compare Joe Biden to Adolf Hitler. I'm not going to do that. I'll just say the facts. Joe Biden, he is out to destroy the family unit. Joe Biden is pushing for this trans agenda policy. He is pushing for children to be able to take this medicine without parents' approval. He is for abortion. He is for a lot of things that I'm against. And so I'm just going to stick to the facts of what Joe Biden truly is, what Kamala Harris truly is. But they have tried to make Donald Trump as some monster, which he is not. I mean, look at Donald Trump. You can say what you want to about the man. But from the looks, from me looking from the outside, always look at the man's children. Look at his children. When Donald Trump was running for president in 2016, and I've been reading their posts over the last, since it happened, they love that man. They love their dad. And you watch 2016, I mean, Ivanka was everywhere. I mean, she loved her dad. Donald Jr., everywhere. I mean, his children were out working to get that man elected. They loved their dad. And they love their dad now. I mean, and then watching their post over the last 36 hours, they love their dad.
And even Barron Trump has been pretty impressive lately. I mean, he's remaining surprisingly calm. This is I think he just graduated high school. He's about to go to college. I mean, he's undergoing so much that almost no recent high school graduate should have to expect to go through. But he's remaining remarkably cool, calm, and collected. And I love the memes about Barron Trump about how he's going to be like God Emperor of the United States one day. I find it absolutely hilarious, or that he's the next Augustus or something like that. I want to say I think it's amazing, and it demonstrates a lot about your character that you will, you want to reach across and you want to be nice to our enemy. You want to be cordial. Sometimes you pay for their lunch. I think that's a remarkable thing. I, however, think that those days of cordial, gentlemanly politics are rapidly coming to an end.
I'm thinking about Republicans.
Okay, so you don't take Democrats to lunch.
I'm thinking of Republicans. Well, no, let me say this. There are one or two Democrats that I have a good relationship with that are friends. And I don't have a lot. Because I typically don't run. I don't run in those circles. But there are one or two that I'm friends with and that I will have lunch with. And they're Democrat, but they don't believe in abortion. They believe that marriage is between a man.
They're blue dogs.
They're not for this transgender garbage that's sweeping this nation. And so, but I'm speaking more aligned with Republicans,
right?
Because the Republicans are not my enemy. They are not my enemy at all. And so we just disagree on maybe policy, and we disagree on how to get certain things done. It doesn't mean that they're my enemy because I disagree with them on an issue. And so if I'm at lunch and I see one of those guys, of course, I'll try, if I can, I will try to buy their lunch and have a conversation with them because they are not my enemy. And that's one thing that the Republican Party needs to understand is that not only are you not my enemy, but I'm not your enemy. And all because we see things differently, we don't see things eye to eye, does not mean that that doesn't mean that I hate you or that I dislike you, because I don't. There are several of these guys. If you see my prayer list, they're all on my prayer list, and I try to pray for these guys because the Bible commands us to. The Bible commands us to pray for those that are in authority, and whether you like it or not, they are in authority, and and they are We try to say, well, they're not leaders, they're servants. But, well, you say what you want, but they're leading in this state. And so I think it's important that we pray for them. And let me just stop right here and just say this about Donald Trump. I believe that every Christian, after Saturday night, if you hadn't already been, and if you already was not awake, Saturday night should have woke you up. And Saturday night should have woke every one of us up to understand and realize that Satan is real, that his attacks are real, but God is bigger. God is much bigger than Satan. And you and I, as Christians, we are to be engaged in this arena like never before. Not just in the political arena, but also in the arena of prayer and praying for this great nation, praying for Donald Trump, praying for that man every single day. There should not be a day that goes by that you and I as Christians are not on our knees praying for this nation and praying for Donald Trump. Whatever you think about the man is irrelevant to me. If you cannot see that the direction of this country is headed straight to hell, if you cannot see that the direction of this country is on a highway and on a fast track to hell, then you've got your head in the sand. I'm not saying, some people want to try to say that I think Donald Trump is the savior of America. I don't think Donald Trump is the savior of America. But here's what I do think. I think that Donald Trump is who God is using to save America. Now, Jesus Christ is the savior. But Donald Trump is the person that God is using and that God can use. And whenever you look at each and every one of us as Christians, we are to be involved in this political arena. And read, that is the reason why we have God and country. I mean, that is the reason why, you and Jill, and I, we talked, and y'all two really were the ones that were the brains behind and pushing, for God and country. But that's why we have God and country. And so that we can encourage Christians, we can encourage elected officials, one, to remain vigilant in our stand of our Christian values. And not only that, but to get Christians engaged in the political arena. There are so many Christians that are not engaged. This past Sunday morning at church, and man, we were packed at church Sunday. And matter of fact, I had to have several people standing, just until we had the children leave out. And even then, once the children left out, church was packed. It was great, really good day yesterday at church. And family joined, and it's just everything that you would want in a day happened yesterday at Community Baptist Church. We had two special times of prayer yesterday at our church. We had Brother Duffy came up and he prayed for Donald Trump. He prayed for fast healing, and he prayed for our country. Then we had another moment of prayer. Mike Bollinger come up, our two deacons, and he came up and prayed. We didn't just pray for Donald Trump, but we prayed for America. This morning, Reed, I didn't just pray for Donald Trump. I prayed for Joe Biden. I prayed for him. I prayed that Joe Biden, if he isn't saved, I prayed that he would accept Christ as his personal savior.
That's what we're supposed to do.
Absolutely. I prayed for his safety. I prayed for Jill, his wife. I prayed for her safety. I believe we as Christians, I believe that's what we should do. We should be praying for their safety. Listen, I am not a Maxine Waters fan at all. I am not. But I wish her no harm. I pray that she would change and turn from her wicked ways, but I don't wish her any harm. I don't want anybody to be in her face hollering and screaming. Listen, I don't have anything for Nancy Pelosi, being honest with you, but I pray for her. I pray that she will turn from her wicked ways. I wish her no harm. I wish her good all the days of her life. Now, do I think that she's trying to absolutely undermine and destroy this country? Yes, she is.
That seems pretty obvious.
Yeah, absolutely. But I'm praying that she would change from her wicked ways. I'm praying that she would turn, But it goes the same with some Republicans, too. It goes with the likes of several that I'm not going to begin to name, but several, that I think they're heading in a direction that we don't need to head. And I'm praying that they will change and come back to what the platform says as far as Republicans. But Christians, after what we saw Saturday night, if you're not awake, you better wake up. You better get awoke quick. And I'm not sure if that's very good English, but you better get awakened quick. And you better get on your knees and you better start praying, and you better ask God to bless America and pray for the safety and the protection of those like Donald Trump.
Well, all of that was remarkably said, Dan. Thank you for all that. You're right. The conflict that we're in It's at least as spiritual as it is political. But because we were talking about some of our elected representatives here in our own state, Mississippi, there is one that I wanted to bring up, and it pertains to another unsaid story about this whole assassination attempt on Trump. I'm not sure if you know this, maybe you read this. On April 20th of this year, a member of the House of Representatives from our own state, a Democrat, Benny Thompson, who is on the so-called January 6th committee, he actually introduced a piece of legislation that would strip convicted felons of their Secret Service protection. And this was a bill that did get some degree of traction among other Democrats. That's why I say that it's not just the lone assassin who is responsible for his actions, or the would-be assassin. It is the entire mainstream media and the entire Democratic Party all in league together. So it seems utterly unthinkable to me that Benny Thompson and however many other Democrats were around him just up and decided for no reason unrelated to Trump that it's just unthinkable that we could have convicted felons with Secret Service protection. That's not what it was. This effort back in April, just a few months ago, was 100% about, at the very least, weakening Donald Trump's Secret Service protection to make him more vulnerable to the possibility of assassination. And that came from one of our elected representatives here in the state of Mississippi. I want to let everybody know that Benny Thompson is by no means reflective of the people of the great state of Mississippi. He's very much an outlier, and I'm thankful for that.
Reed, did you see what his staffer said?
No, I didn't.
So one of his staffers, Miss Marshall, she put out a social media post, and she basically said, next time, don't miss.
Really?
Now, Benny Thompson has fired her. He has fired her. But here's another question about all this. You bring up about Benny Thompson. So Benny Thompson is trying to get rid of Donald Trump's Secret Service detail. Donald Trump has an attempted assassination where the guy just doesn't shoot at Trump, but he actually hits Trump. Can see him in his ear. Within hours of that, Miss Marshall was posted, next time, don't miss. The apple doesn't fall far from the tree, is what I'm getting at.
Judge them by their fruits.
Look at the conversation that she's put on social media. If that is the conversation that she's willing to put on social media, number one, why would she think that's even good to put on social media? Number two, why does she think that that would be okay with Benny Thompson to put on social media? Like, why is his staffer putting that? Not only does she need to be fired, but Benny Thompson needs to be replaced. Benny Thompson needs to resign. That is your staffer. Now, listen, I get it that sometimes staffers, they act and they say things that have nothing to do with the person that they work for, and I get it. I get that 100%. It happens. We have people sometimes in church do things that is not reflective of the church. I get it, 100%. But Benny Thompson, you're trying to take security service detail away from Trump. That's what your bill was designed to do. You were the leader on the January 6th committee. You were. I mean, what conversations or what are y'all talking about in your office? What is happening? That you have a staffer in Marshall comes out and puts out a social media post. Why does she feel so comfortable to do that? There's a gentleman, Ron Eller, running for Congress against Benny Thompson right now in that district. I would love to see Ron Eller win in that district. Ron Eller's a good man, and I think that he possibly can beat Benny Thompson. And so we as Republicans need to be supporting Ron Eller. We need to be doing all that we can to help him defeat this man in Benny Thompson. If we as Republicans and if we as Christians will get out, especially in November, if we'll drive people to the polls come November, the Democrat Party is not going to be nearly as motivated as Republicans. They're just not. I mean, I don't know any Democrat except those left-wing crazy people on TikTok that are even talking about how, it could have been a little more to the right. We'd have ended this talking about the assassination attempt of Trump. I mean, these people are crazy, Reed. They're straight-up lunatics. I don't want to say that. I'm starting to get aggravated, mad. But my point is, you've got Benny Thompson that is leading some of that, with his trying to take away Secret Service detail. being the chairman of the January 6th committee. I mean, those type of things. And then his staff are putting out tweets, that she put out. We need to get rid of Benny Thompson.
Well, how long has the left been making jokes and all sorts of other things about, the idea of assassinating Donald Trump? Remember years ago, there was Kathy Griffin. She had this fake severed head, bloody severed head of Trump. And around that same time, there was a performance of Shakespeare's Julius Caesar in Washington, D.C., where Julius Caesar was made to look like Donald Trump, of course, as he was being killed on stage. Johnny Depp made that off-color remark years ago about when was the last time an actor assassinated a president. Madonna made a joke about how she had thought an awful lot about blowing up the White House. Maybe it wasn't a joke, but this is something that has been inside the Overton window on the left for some time. It was a powder keg that was eventually going to go off, but I don't think that it's over yet. You and I have said several episodes of God and Country that they will try to kill Donald Trump. This isn't the end. Donald Trump has crosshairs on his head, I'm afraid, every day, not just for the rest of this campaign, but through inauguration, and if he does get reelected again, every day of his second term. I think that he needs to invest, Donald Trump needs to invest in a private military contractor. He shouldn't have to do that, but he needs to, because gaps in the Secret Service, they cannot be allowed to happen. And I don't want to impute or speculate too much on the reason this happened, but Franklin Delano Roosevelt, the great-grandfather of modern American liberalism, he had a quote, and I'm going to paraphrase it. He said that in politics, if something dramatic happens, it was not by accident. It happened exactly the way that it was intended to. It wouldn't surprise me one bit to learn in a matter of months, or in 5 years, or in 10 years, or in 50 years or longer, that the CIA was behind this. I firmly believe that. I believe that these agencies within the U.S. government who know that Donald Trump is going to be coming after them, should he get reelected, I think it would be incredibly naive to at least not consider that they were somehow involved in this. With this kind of a gap in Secret Service, to me, it's unthinkable to not consider that as a possibility.
Well, Reed, when you look at it, we mentioned it earlier in the show. First off, making a 150-yard shot with an AR-15, that's a tough shot to make for anybody.
Looks like you've been sleeping well.
Megan, he's back. The MyPillow guy.
And you're looking good.
Still feeling good.
Well, just when you thought it couldn't get any better, we've got the best pillow ever, MyPillow 2.0.
Wow, it's so soft and smooth.
It's cool to the touch. How did you do that?
Well, we took MyPillow's patented fill and combined it with this new technology that we didn't have back then when I invented MyPillow to bring you the best pillow in history, MyPillow 2.0. Just like all of you, I never imagined that MyPillow could get any better. That's why I haven't changed it in nearly 20 years. Then I heard about a revolutionary new technology, and I knew I had to bring it to you all. MyPillow 2.0 is truly the next generation of MyPillow.
The MyPillow 2.0 is cooler and softer than the last MyPillow. It is so comfortable to sleep on at night. I look forward to going to bed, and I wake up well rested in the morning.
Sleep is all about temperature and height. MyPillow 2.0's patented adjustable fill is going to give you the exact individual support you need from your head to your bed. And now here's where it gets even better. We've all experienced those temperature-related sleep interruptions where you get too hot, you toss and turn, you flip your pillow over to the cool side. Well, all that's gone with my brand new MyPillow 2.0 cooling fabric that's made with temperature-regulating thread.
The best sleep just got even better. Whether you have a MyPillow or not, you need to get the brand new MyPillow 2.0. Call or go to MyPillow.com now. Use your promo code, and for a limited time when you buy one, you'll get a second one absolutely free.
You're sleeping even better.
And cooler, too.
And you're looking good.
Feeling good.
I knew you would.
Visit MyPillow.com.
I mean, I shoot quite a bit. I enjoy hunting, and I've made shots at, I think the furthest shot I've made is right at 300 yards as far as shooting a deer. That was with my Thompson Center 308, rifle. And that's a tough shot to make. 300-yard shot that's a long shot. 150 yards is a long shot. I mean, that's a football field and a half of a football field. So, I mean, just think about a football field, 100 yards, and then add another 50 to that. The question is, how does a man get that close to the president with an AR-15 on top of a roof?
A white roof in broad daylight.
With a clear shot at the president.
And several people in the audience warning Secret Service several seconds in advance. Or one guy saying that he was warning the police and Secret Service several minutes before it happened.
Where were the drones at? Why wasn't there drones in the air, watching this scene? Where were the people at? Listen, I think the Secret Service director needs to resign. I think she needs to be fired. I mean, I'm just going to just put it out there. I mean, she needs to be fired. And if she has no business overseeing the Secret Service, if it's incompetence, she needs to be fired. If it was a lack of organization, she needs to be fired. And whoever was over the detail, at that time, and I'm not sure how that operates there, but whoever was in charge of his security needs to be fired. And so you do not let anyone get that close to the president, the former president, the Republican nominee of the greatest nation in the world. It doesn't happen. It does not happen. And so I don't care who they are. That's for Donald Trump. That's Joe Biden. That's Obama. That's Bush. That's Clinton. Carter. Any of them. You don't let somebody get that close.
Only a matter of months ago, there was a Secret Service agent who did an interview, and they explained in this interview that Secret Service protocol is not to fire upon someone in the audience until the president or whoever they're protecting is fired upon. That rule needs to be changed. You shouldn't wait until someone shoots at or shoots the person being protected before Secret Service retaliates. That's utterly ridiculous.
Reed, what's ridiculous is that you got a guy on top of a roof with an AR-15, and we're going to wait for him to pull the trigger? What in the name of heaven do you think he's there for? What do you think he's doing with an AR-15? Somebody said, well, it could have been a
telescope, a camera.
Listen to me.
If you're foolish enough to climb onto a rooftop at a presidential event and extend a long telescope at the person on stage, Secret Service is going to have to do its job.
First off, I don't buy that. First off, I'm not buying that one.
Right.
Because, look, my scope, read at 300 yards, I can read a book, at 300 yards with my scope on my gun. I mean, I got a good scope, right? And we're talking about the Secret Service of the United States of America, and you're going to tell me that I have a better scope than them? And that they should better read, they should have been able to read the numbers on that gun. That's how good their scopes are to be. And so if I can read, I mean, literally, I've got my gun in there. I've got a gun with a scope on it that you could literally set a book on that roof. On the other side of that roof over there is probably 400 yards away. And you could set a book over there. Now, it needs to be the big letters. And I can read that book with my scope.
Maybe you need to use that to read The Lord of the Rings.
Yeah. Okay, we'll do that. They can have a scope from space, and they can tell you they can spot a coin on the ground and tell you if it's on heads or tails. And you're going to tell me that a Secret Service guy was sitting on a roof at 150 yards away from a guy with his scope trained in on that guy, and he couldn't tell if that was a scope or a gun? Great day in the morning. I'm not buying that. That's just bull crap. That's bull crap. And so there is no way that guy couldn't tell whether or not that was a gun or a scope. Now, I haven't heard that guy say that. I'm going off based on that interview.
No, I was giving that as an example about the whole telescope thing.
Correct. And so the president of the United States of America, the former president, and the Republican nominee is there within 25 yards of you making a speech. You've been listening to the rhetoric of the left for the last 8 years. You've got a guy 130, what I've seen the diagram was 132 yards away. A guy crawling on a roof with an AR-15 that is not part of the security detail. First off, how come we didn't have somebody on that roof, first off, at 150 yards away? Secondly, you see that guy. You are watching him through your scope. You are watching him. He's got a gun. What do you think he's there to do? You think he's there to take pictures? No, he's there to shoot at the president. You take that sorry son of a gun out. You shoot him just like he did. Now the guy did exactly protocol. He did, but protocol needs to change. He did his protocol. The guy shot. The guy shot him within 3 seconds. And he made a great shot. Shot him in the head. It was over. The guy was down. But one person was hit. And then you had Corey lost his life. President Trump was shot through the ear. I mean, you had all of that stuff happen to take place. And there was people warning.
They were shouting for several seconds in advance.
Yeah. And that's part of the reason why I believe that Trump was saying the guy didn't get off more shots. Could you imagine if the people hadn't been shouting about it and that Secret Service agent didn't already have his gun trained in that direction?
Right.
If he had to shoot and then they had to try to find him, that would have been bad because he could have got off a lot of rounds. He could have hurt a lot of people. Instead, he only got, 2 or 3 rounds off, and then he got taken out. So thank God for those patriots that were there, that were not just running, but were pointing and trying to get the police's attention. But I'm going to go back to how come the Secret Service didn't have that covered? How come we didn't have somebody on that roof?
Only a matter of months ago, the current Secret Service director was in an interview, and she said that her goal for Secret Service was to have it staffed by at least 30% women. And once I heard that a couple of days ago, I thought to myself, that's not the goal of Secret Service. The goal of Secret Service is to protect the president or protect other high-profile individuals around the presidency or presidential elections, right? That's utterly ridiculous. I don't want DEI in the sea. I don't want DEI anywhere, obviously, but it's unthinkable that we would have anyone but the most qualified and the most competent people in the Secret Service. So I think this is also another example of the failures of DEI, of the failures of minority quotas and everything else.
Read my controversial statement of the day is no woman are to be in Secret Service. No woman.
Did you see that there was the one woman who was struggling? I saw her 3 times struggling to reholster her weapon. And I thought to myself, if there's one person who should be able to reholster a weapon effortlessly, it ought to be a Secret Service agent.
But Reed, let me say this too. I don't need to be a Secret Service agent. I mean, I can't shoot well enough to be a Secret Service agent. It's not that I would flee or run. It's just that I'm not that good of a shot whenever it comes to, first off, I've never been shot at. Secondly, you need to be the top. Do you know that there's never have been a woman? And listen, this is not beating on women, right? I'm married to a lady, and my wife, if she was right here, she would agree 100%. So I'm not beating up on women because there are jobs that women do that they do much better than men, and so I'm not sitting there saying that man is better. There are just certain jobs and certain responsibilities that needs to be a man. When it comes to the Navy SEALs, how many women have ever been in the Navy SEALs? The job of the Secret Service, whenever it comes to now whenever I say the Secret Service, I'm mainly speaking of the detail that guards the president, because I understand that there are some jobs within the Secret Service that women can do. I'm talking about the detail of the president. It needs to be the best of the best. It needs to be the Navy SEALs. It needs to be the best of the Navy SEALs. You are guarding the president of the United States of America. It needs to be the best of the best shooters, the best snipers. It needs to be the top. And I was watching the president when he got carried off or he got walked off. You had no offense to anybody that's on that Secret Service detail. But there was a woman that was in front of the president. And from his chest up,
he was exposed.
He was exposed.
I understand Trump is a tall guy. He's 6'2", but he should be surrounded by people who are taller than him, who can actually shield him from that kind of fire.
And that woman she's probably a great shot. She's probably she probably can do a lot of things very good. But she couldn't cover the president. I mean, he was exposed. What if there had been 2 or 3 more shooters? The job of the Secret Service, and they have a very, very important job. Probably, when it comes to government in D.C., probably the most important job in the nation. That's protecting the president. I mean, that's why. And let me give it to her. She didn't hesitate. That lady, she did not hesitate. I mean, if you watch those videos, when those shots fired, those Secret Service guys, and she did not hesitate. She was there. I mean, immediately was there and wasn't flinching, and she was doing all she could to guard the president. I mean, she was. She just wasn't big enough. She just wasn't tall enough. She just wasn't big enough. And so no defense to her. I mean, because she did do what I believe she was supposed to do. Because we've all watched the videos and the footage when it started happening. Those men and she took off to the president. I mean, and was on top of the president. One of my favorite pictures, the saddest picture, was when the president was down and you had the blood running down his face. And I saw that picture, I wept. I get choked up even thinking about that picture, that's where the president of the United States of America, the greatest nation in the world, has a guy that gets within 150 yards of him with an AR-15 and shoots him. That should never stinking happen. Never should happen. And you talk about the CIA being involved or engaged. I saw this. Somebody asked why the Secret Service wasn't on that roof. And someone said because the CIA and Secret Service don't need to be on the same roof. And so that's one thing. That's one thing that I read. If I think anybody's behind it, I would think it would be Zelensky. That would be behind it, the Ukraine president.
That's an interesting take.
And the reason is because he knows that once Trump gets in, all his money stops.
And Ukraine aid is coming to an end.
That's right. And he's not wanting that to happen. It's not that he's wanting to defeat Russia. He likes all that money coming in. He likes all the money that's pouring into his nation.
So he can buy mansions and sports cars.
Absolutely. And so that's my take on it. If you really want to know what I really think, and that's strictly my opinion, and that is not the opinion of God and Coach, that is strictly my opinion, is I think that if anybody's going to be behind it, it would be him. And so because he doesn't want Trump to be the president of the United States of America. And so will we ever know? Probably not. If it does come out in 50 years,
it'll be redacted, I'm sure.
I'll be dead and gone. But my point back to the Secret Service, whenever they're doing, and I'm not sure how the training works. I'm not going to pretend it does. I just know that they have training. I'm sure that they have to shoot. I'm sure that they have to run. I'm sure that they have to do all these things. But listen, they need to also add a height. If the president's 6'5", we need to load the Secret Service up with people that are 6'5", 6'6", right? I mean, people that can guard and protect the president, of the United States of America. I would love to have a Secret Service agent on the show with us and talk about these type of things and get their opinion because, I mean, they live it, every single day. My brother, he's in the Marines, and he was part of some security detail that guarded an embassy. And he's been to several different countries, at some of these embassies. But they had a very well-known individual from the Trump cabinet coming to where they was at. And man, he said that the security detail that they had for this gentleman whenever he came to their country, their embassy, was insane. Like, I mean, they had, everything was covered. Even the rooftops around were covered, to make sure that he was protected. This is the former president of the United States of America. This is the Republican nominee. The Republican nominee. I'm doing this read so people can see Donald Trump's autograph on my hat. The Republican nominee. The future president, in my opinion, Donald Trump, on the stage, speaking. The only people that should be on the roof within 500 yards of the president, 1,000 yards of the president, is Secret Service.
Absolutely. And so did you know that the agency that's responsible for protecting Vladimir Putin, they actually do have height requirements. So they require you to be above a certain height, but I think also below a certain height as well. And you have to be a native-born Russian, to serve in that agency. So I guarantee you, and this is kind of a scary thought, but it reminded me of this when she brought up Zelensky. I guarantee that the people protecting Vladimir Putin would have spotted that sniper long before there was ever anything allowed to happen.
Well, they would have probably been on that roof, I would imagine. And so hopefully the Secret Service wakes up. We get so, because we are such a free nation, because we do have so much liberty, that we're out in open air and it's just freedom. I mean, you breathe, you smell freedom here in our great nation. But we can't take that for granted. And I was talking to my family on the way home last night, and I said this. I said, who is the most loved person and the most hated person in the nation? Not the most loved person, but he has to be the most loved and the most hated at the same time. I believe it's Donald Trump.
There's zero question.
I believe he's the most loved man and at the same time the most hated man.
That might be the case not just for the United States, but the entire world.
Correct. I believe he's the man. He's the man. And so whenever you look at, he's the most loved man and the most hated man. This is America. And our air, it is freedom. It is liberty. But when he's up speaking in an open air, I just think the Secret Service I hate to speculate anything, Reed, but I just can't. Somebody will just have to explain to me how this guy gets this close. 132 yards with a rifle is not far. I mean, it's a football field and half a football field. It's not far.
And he had a perfect shot at Trump's head. Really, he was from this angle in particular. And it's much easier to hit a target like that from this angle as opposed to from the front.
So to put this into perspective, like Randall Cunningham, he was a quarterback, football quarterback. He could throw a football like 80 yards. Like Brett Favre, football quarterback that we all know, and Green Bay Packers and USM, and the guy's got an arm for a cannon. He could throw the ball probably like 75, 80 yards. You know, I mean, John Elway, Dan Marino, these guys can throw the ball or used to be able to throw the ball like 75, 80 yards.
It was said that Jimmy Clausen could throw one about 100 yards.
Yeah. So we're talking about just a little bit further, and this guy's up there with a rifle. So like Brett Favre or Jimmy Klaus, if you put them on that roof, they could almost hit the president with a football, and they're accurate enough to do so. I mean, Brett Favre, great day in the morning. That guy he could throw that ball, man. Randall Cunningham, he could throw that ball. Warren Moon, I know I'm naming some older guys. Those guys just had a cannon for an arm, and they could throw that ball. Dan Marino, he could hit you full speed 70 yards away. You got a standing still target, and you got a guy sitting at 132 yards with a AR-15. I'm sure he's got a scope on it that's really good. I don't see how that happens unless either one, they allowed it to happen, or two, just incompetent. Either case, they all need to be fired. The leadership need to be fired. I'm not talking about the people that was around the president.
Right.
That was on top of the president within 5 seconds. I'm not talking about those people.
But the people whose one job was quite literally to make sure that the security detail was where it needed to be.
I'm talking about the leadership.
Yep.
I'm talking about the leadership, because the other people, like the sniper that shot and killed the person that was trying to assassinate, he did his job. He did what he was supposed to do. He shot and killed the guy. Like, I'm not saying fire him. I'm saying the leadership. The Secret Service director, she needs to be fired. Fired. The person that was in charge of Trump's security detail needs to be fired. And Joe Biden needs to be fired in November. And we need to reelect Donald Trump.
Donald Trump's famous 2 words once he takes office again, if nothing else, should be what?
You're fired. And to all of them suckers.
And speaking of him, I think that maybe we haven't done this enough this episode. We need to stop and think about just how, I would dare say, unstoppable Donald Trump has been. Think about everything they have put this man through. They impeached him twice. They convicted him. They're trying very hard to throw him in prison. He has a sentencing coming up in September now, I believe. They have shot him. And it's an incredible and astonishing test of character that after all of this, and moments after he was shot, he stands up, and instead of cowering, instead of hiding behind the Secret Service agents and being ushered off the stage, he says, "Let me get my shoes." And he says, "Fight, fight, fight." That's another one of those characteristics that cannot be taught. You cannot cultivate that in a person. That is something that is natural. That's something that's innate. And I don't understand how even Trump's critics cannot admire that sort of characteristic.
That's why he's loved. People
loved and hated.
People saw Saturday why he's loved. They saw it. The man is shot, Reed. He's got blood running down his face. And yet, let me get my shoes. Fight. Fight. You know what I preached yesterday morning at church? I preached we need fighters. That's what I preached yesterday morning at church. We need to fight for our church. We need to fight to reach the lost. We need to fight for our families. We need to fight for our children. And we need to fight for our nation.
Jesus doesn't want wimps,
Right. So you have Donald Trump, man, fight, fight, fight. That's why we love him. That's why we love him. The man, you say what you want to about it, but he loves America. He loves the United States of America. And you're right, man. They've done everything they can to stop him. Yesterday, he was playing golf. He went play golf yesterday.
He got him and played golf the following morning after he was shot.
He was on the 9th hole. The 9th hole, he just 20-foot putt. He putted. He made it. As he's walking off, he says, the difference between me and the person that shot me yesterday is I don't miss.
That is so gangster. I don't think that there's been a president in modern history with that ability for witticisms and what we might call a laconic person, a person with that sardonic, razor sharp sort of wit.
I've
That's
been watching.
incredible.
I've watched so many videos the last 36 hours. Look, man, my favorites is some of these guys. I've got some friends. So there's some black guys, and they're talking about Trump, and they're saying that Donald Trump is the first real black president. I guess he has 3 baby mamas. He's got 90-something felons.
And now he's been shot.
So, and that's what they're saying. That's not what I'm saying. I'm quoting some.
It's not altogether wrong. I mean, they said that Bill Clinton was the first black president, but seems like that Trump has very much stolen that crown. Did you see that 50 Cent was giving a concert this weekend? And
Yeah, I saw it.
he was performing Many Men Wish Death Upon Me, that song, and Trump's face was photoshopped onto 50 Cent's body on the stage behind him. That was incredible, man.
Yeah, I'm seeing all these people. They are seeing it. Everyone is seeing it. Like that. They are going after him. Like, why are they working so hard to stop him? What does he know? What does he know? What is he going to expose? That's why they're trying to stop him. That's why they're going after him. Listen, they've tried to assassinate his character. It didn't work. They didn't stop him. They tried to assassinate all of his jobs and his businesses. That hadn't stopped him. They tried to assassinate his character when it comes to his marriage. That didn't stop him. Now they've gone after his life. They're going to do everything they can to try to stop this man.
And what stuns me is that there are people in this country who are still undecided, or the veil has not yet been lifted from their eyes, presumably. They can't see who the true enemy is and who the true hero is. I think that this is one of those rare moments in history where you have a very clear-cut and obvious hero and a very clear-cut and obvious villain in this story. I will say this: I'm seeing a lot of my friends predict that this is going to hand Trump the presidency. I hope it does. I hope that is.
I think we'll win every state.
I hope you're right. I hope that this is an even bigger blowout than Ronald Reagan versus Mondale. I hope that you're right. I don't want to make that prediction yet, but I do want to say this: people in the middle who are still undecided, they've been told for so many years that it's Trump supporters who represent all this violence and all this unrest in the country. I think it is going to wake a lot of those people up and let them know that it's not Trump supporters who are the violent ones. It's the left. It's the left. They're the ones they are the very enemy that they claim to be fighting.
You know, Reed, I agree with you. And I hope that the veil is being lifted. I hope that the scales are coming off. And I hope that the people they are beginning to see that Donald Trump is not the problem. Is Donald Trump perfect? No. But nor am I.
There's only been one perfect person in the history of this earth.
That's it. Jesus Christ. And I'm so thankful he came. He died on the cross and shed his blood and rose again for each and every one of us to pay for our sin. I'm thankful that he came. But I'm going to tell you what Donald Trump does have. He loves his country. He's a smart businessman. He's got a good family around town with his children and his wife, Melania. A great man. A good man. Not a perfect man, but a good man. But a man that the left wants to destroy. And whenever I see a party and I see certain individuals doing all that they can to destroy a man's character, the way that they're trying to destroy Donald Trump and then even take his life, Reed, that makes me even more. I am more Donald Trump. I am more pro-Donald Trump today than I was Friday. I am more pro-Donald Trump today than I've ever been in my life. And I'm going to tell you, I'm going to make you a promise. From now until November, this guy right here is going to do everything in his power to get as many people registered to vote that is not registered to vote as registered to vote as possible. I've already been working on it, making phone calls and telling people, listen, if you're not registered, you need to get registered to vote. And then whenever it comes to November, I'm not just going to be working in Mississippi, but I'm going to have my hands in states all over the United States of America. And we're going to be working like never before to get people to the polls. And Reed, I think that's what every single person, especially every Trump supporter, every independent, Listen, every libertarian, every Republican, every one of us are to be working and doing all that we can to defeat Joe Biden and to reelect Donald Trump come November.
Absolutely. I couldn't have said it better, Dan.
And Reed, I'm gonna say this. I see so many Christians, they just sit on the sideline and not do anything. Shame on you. Shame on you. If you're not praying for this country, shame on you. Don't get on social media and complain about how bad it is, whatever. You want to sit on your blessed assurance and not do anything. Don't get on social media and badmouth the country and badmouth Joe Biden and badmouth Donald Trump and badmouth any of these people if you're not willing to go to work yourself. You want to sit on your blessed assurance and just complain. You just want to be a keyboard warrior. If that's all you want to be, you need to repent and get in, man, and help try to save this country. This country needs you now more than ever. And we've got way too many people sitting on the sidelines. If Saturday didn't wake you up, I don't know what will. I don't know what will wake you up. We got war in Russia and Ukraine. You've got China doing what it's doing. You've got Hamas trying to destroy Israel. You've got these crazy nut jobs trying to assassinate President Donald Trump. You've got these drag queens marching in trying to brainwash your 5-year-old, 6-year-old little girls. You've got these transgenders trying to take over the nation. You've got Muslims trying to run for Congress and take over Congress in D.C. You've got people like Kamala Harris as the vice president. You've got people like Nancy Pelosi in Washington, D.C. You got people like Maxine Waters. You got all these other knuckleheads that are doing everything they can to destroy the very fabric that this nation was built upon. And most Christians, unfortunately, have their head in the sand, not doing anything, just praying for Jesus to come back. Well, Jesus has got, we don't know when he's going to come back. And so until he comes back, you and I need to be working and doing all that we can to reach people with the gospel of Jesus Christ, to build strong churches, and to get good people elected. So get off your blessed assurance and let's do something to save America. Let's get to work.
We said at the beginning of this show that God had a hand in protecting Donald Trump on that day. I firmly believe that anyway. I also believe that moment was a test of Donald Trump's character. But I don't even think it was just limited to that. I think that moment was a test of America's character, of a test of how we're going to respond to all of this and how we're going to fight and how we're going to, as you put it, engage the political arena. I'm here to tell you this is one exam that I don't want to fail come November or ever again for that matter. It seems pretty obvious to me as a Christian, as a person who tries to understand the spiritual component to this earthly battle that we're in, that God has picked a side here, that there is a side that God is on, and I dare not stand against God's plan.
I agree, Reed. I agree. Very well said. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for watching God and Country. Thanks for tuning in. If you haven't already shared God and Country, I would encourage you to do so. Regardless of what platform you're watching this on, share it. It helps us. Listen, the algorithms of these platforms, they are not in favor of God and Country. God and Country is not a left show. It's a right show. God and Country is a conservative Christian show. Facebook, Instagram, X is getting better. YouTube, they're not going to be showing us a lot of favor. So we need you. We need you to retweet. We need you to share. We need you to share our links. And by you doing that, it helps get out our conservative message. Thank you for tuning in. Reed, thank you. It's been a great show. I've enjoyed it. I would encourage you today, as every day, pray for Donald Trump. God bless you, and God bless the great United States of America.
Hey guys, it's Reed here. I don't say this about a lot of people, but I have to say Mike Lindell is a real patriot, and we could not be more thankful to him and MyPillow for sponsoring today's episode of God and Country. Remember, go to MyPillow.com and save huge on a great night of sleep by entering the promo code Midnight Ride. Thanks.